Everyone, Tired Metalhead Weatherman here. Hopefully everyone's doing well. Coming at you with a quick tropical update here. We did one earlier this week, but things have changed here. We have a couple of systems that have now been named. Over towards the Pacific, we now have Hurricane Norma, which is actually strengthened all the way up to a major hurricane at this point, and expected to strengthen further. We're looking at a bottom end Category 3 at the moment, but this is expected to strengthen up to Category 4, right at the bottom end of that. So, main things to worry about over towards Mexico right now. As of right now, there's no U.S. impacts to be worried about, but over towards Mexico, the issues, of course, rainfall, wind, and surf. Main areas to be concerned with would be, and remember, I'm not Hispanic, so I'm not great at pronouncing the names of these areas, so forgive me if I botch, but Cabo San Lucas is an area to be concerned with. And then also we have Sinaloa. I don't know if that's an O right there or not because it's kind of written really small on the map. But El Dorado, Mexico might be another point of interest here. There's a lot of questioning in regards to where the storm track will ultimately end up being, but this definitely is looking like another landfall for western Mexico and maybe a major landfall at that. This is what Norma is looking like on satellite. Eyes starting to really begin to become more pronounced here, but still a little bit congested from the looks of it. It's not a perfect eye just yet, but I think if it really starts to get itself together further, we'll see that eye begin to really clear up here at this point. But it's looking a lot better on satellite here. So here's the track for this storm. It is expected to weaken here as we start to go further and further along here, but this will be undoubtedly a problem for Cabo San Lucas. But it's also going to be a slow moving storm, which is also very concerning because, you know, the rain threat. This part of Mexico in particular over here towards central Mexico has a lot of mountains too. So the threat for mudslides along with flash flooding is going to jump up exponentially with a slow moving storm system as this would be. So there's a lot of concerns with that. And we could already tell just from looking at the spaghetti models, we're pretty sure we know where this is going at this point, at least starting out. Definitely towards the Baja California region, towards Cabo San Lucas is the area that we're going to be watching. And then after that point, we're kind of seeing this go a whole bunch of different ways, but quite a few of these runs bring this over towards Texas. So towards southwestern Texas, central Texas, we might need to be on the lookout for some rainfall down the line. And then it's it's a toss-up as to where it goes next. It's up in the air, more or less, I should say. And of course, we have to watch this other system, which we've been talking about here and there, as this would likely make its way into the Gulf if it maintains a current track when or if it does form. So right now, in the short term, I wouldn't expect anything major to come of that. But of course, right now, our main concern right now would be Norma. With Norma actually trekking kind of slowly here, I might be able to cover this tomorrow if I can get home from work fast enough. So I would expect tropical storm and maybe even hurricane conditions to begin to kick in over here towards Cabo after probably Friday afternoon, maybe even to Saturday morning. So we'll see what we can do with it, though. It'd be nice to live stream. It's been a minute, and I do kind of enjoy it. It can be difficult, but I like it. Plus, it'll be a nice little test for the new setup. So that being said, getting off topic here, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the spaghetti model intensity here. Most of these keep this at category 4 for a little bit. And of course, as we get into a less favorable wind pattern, which is most likely what we will see over towards this region, because further up to the north, there's a lot of wind shear. We're going to see this weaken, thankfully, before it hits western Mexico. So here's a better look at the spaghetti model tracks. A lot of them, like I said, Mexico, and then eventually Texas becomes a factor here. And if you look at either one of these, it's been pretty consistent for the most part. So, but that's not the only thing that we have to deal with here, though. So we looked at the Pacific. Now we have Tropical Storm Tammy in the Atlantic, expected to become a Category 1 hurricane. And this is going to be doing so over the weekend. So if we take a look at Tammy right now, satellite. It's looking rather healthy at this point. Starting to see a little bit of that buzzsaw characteristic that you would expect with most tropical systems that are really starting to evolve here. This does make, again, a very, very close pass towards Trinidad and the Tobago Islands here. But thankfully, as I've mentioned before in the last hurricane outlook, that this is going to make a turn to sea once it really starts to get its strength up. Those upper level winds are going to catch that, so no surprises there. So like I said, it's really not going to be till later down the line when this becomes a hurricane. However, we do have tropical storm watches in effect towards Trinidad and Tobago Islands here and the Antilles. So we will be, of course, keeping an eye on that. Won't be able to pull up too much on that as far as cameras are concerned, but I'm going to give it a try. Definitely, like I said, I'm looking forward to trying to live stream again. Hopefully you guys join in. If you can, it's all right. But outside of the track here, main thing to note is, of course, the strength. And one thing to make note of is the fact that these spaghetti model intensity graph, it's a little bit all over the place. Most of them kind of keep it at a lower in category 1, but quite a few of these try to push it up to maybe even major hurricane here. We'll have to see how that plays out, but I'm not too sure sure just what's going to happen with the intensity here in the early run. I know as we get further up to the north, I'm looking at these graphs here, this storm will weaken exponentially and eventually it will diminish or just dissipate completely. But at least through a good chunk of the region over here, we could probably see further strengthening for sure. But we'll have to see how things play out. The wind pattern is going to play a huge part in that. So it's just another thing to keep an eye on here. So again, here's another look at all the activity over here in the Atlantic. Other than Tammy, this is it really. And then, of course, as we mentioned with Norma, we have another system to watch behind that. So we'll switch over to Eastern Pacific really quick. Over the next 48 hours, a low chance of development. It's a higher chance of development over the next 7 days. It's not super organized, but again, my concern is that this crosses over into the Yucatan and then heads into the Gulf. Gets caught up on the edge of a front, doesn't really get too much a chance to develop, but this could become a player in regards to weather for the Gulf Coast states and maybe the Southeast as well. So let's go ahead and look at the models here in regards to what Tammy and Norma will look like. So this is what Tammy would look like as far as intensity is concerned. You could see that based off of knots right here. Once we get above about 60 knots, we're closing in on hurricane here. So we already said that we're going to see this thing make it all the way up to hurricane. No real surprises there. So we get up to about 60 knots there pretty easily. We get actually up to 80 knots, so it does have a shot at maybe making category 2 according to the HAFS model. This is the A model, by the way. And then as time goes on, as this is also a bit of a slow mover as well, once it clears the Antilles here and makes its miss towards the my brain's not working, makes its miss away from Hispaniola, makes the turn, it does look like it tries to strengthen just a little bit more, but this is still where that warmer water is. So that being said, coupled with the wind shear factor here, which gets pretty high as we go further along, this is going to help keep that storm away from land and also help it weaken that much faster. Then also, if we were to look at the sea surface temperatures, once it makes that turn, waters are notably cooler as well. I don't know what the heck that noise is. Now that we've looked at Tammy, let's look at Norma. Look at old Norma Jean. And of course, as we mentioned before, it's a slow mover, really strong storm as well. This isn't really giving a good depiction of how strong it actually could get, but nonetheless, it does look like there's definitely going to be some problems for Mexico. And eventually, this does end up looks like it gets flung all the way up into Arizona. I'm not sure if I would buy that or not, but still an interesting run to look at for sure here. But main thing that we're going to be worried about is the overall strength of the storm, and of course Cabo San Lucas. Look at the wind shear with this, and here's also why I think that that's going to be bogus. If we look at these little barbs here, the winds are going to be pushing this, or veering more so in this direction off to the northeast. So just having it just shoot off to the north just doesn't really seem feasible to me at that point. Then if we were to look also at sea surface temperature, another reason why this could weaken a bit here. Oops, did not want to click the sounding. But this could weaken also simply because, and I'm going to go back a little bit, but it's because the waters here aren't quite as warm, and then we get some upwelling as well. So this warm water is taking up all of the warm sea surface temperatures and bringing those cooler temperatures up forth. And with it moving so slow, it'll unfortunately wallow in those same waters that it's been getting itself together over, and eventually it'll force the storm to weaken as well. But that being said, here it still looks like we could have a pretty gnarly storm there. And then of course we also have to watch towards where this next tropical system would be. The next named storm after not Tammy, but Norma, if I remember correctly, would be Otis. So that being said, a lot of craziness going on here in the tropics. Just what kind of effects they will have is still yet to be seen, but we will find out more this weekend. Until then, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. You found it useful. If you did, you know what to do. Smash that like button, decimate that subscribe button, obliterate that share button. It's been Ty, Metalhead Weatherman. I'll see you guys later today. Till then, take care and have a good night or good day.